this meeting to order. It is Thursday, April 13th. It is about 9:10 a.m. This is the meeting of the Minnesota Ballpark Authority, our quarterly meeting. And so I would love it if we could do the roll call at this point.
Commissioner James R. Campbell.
Present.
Commissioner Tony Sine.
Present.
Commissioner David Ibarra.
Present.
And Chair Margaret Anderson Kelleher.
Present. Next we have the adoption of the agenda for someone who's reviewed the agenda. I don't think we have any additions to the agenda today or deletions. Would someone move the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Tony, then Dave. All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
And Madam Chair, because we have our
Oh, we need to do a roll call. Sorry, we're going to roll call this, each one.
Okay. Commissioner James R. Campbell.
Aye.
Commissioner Tony Sine.
Aye.
Commissioner David Ibarra.
Aye.
And Chair Margaret Anderson Kelleher.
Aye. The agenda is adopted for today. We have approval of the minutes, and there was one change to the minutes that we're approving, and that has to do with the notification of Commissioner Campbell's reason for being remote. I think that is the best way to do that. So has someone reviewed the updated minutes? Commissioner Campbell.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All right. And again, we will roll call this.
Commissioner James R. Campbell.
Aye.
Commissioner Tony Sine.
Aye.
Commissioner David Ibarra.
Aye.
And Chair Margaret Anderson Kelleher.
Aye. The minutes as amended are approved. Okay. We have public comment period, and I understand we actually have someone who'd like to sit down and make a few comments. So that would be great if you sit down. We have a 2 to 3 minutes for public comment, and if you'd like to sit at the head of the table and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'll put my camera to see
Yeah.
if I can get myself my few
Absolutely.
comments.
Well, welcome.
Thank you for the welcome, and Madam Chairman and board members, I'm Alan Repke, Inform TV, Alexandria, Minnesota, and I recently saw your agenda, and I thought it'd be a good time to come down and acquaint myself a little bit how this works compared to U.S. Bank Stadium and the Minnesota Sports Facility Authority. I've tracked them, and I've tracked the Gambling Control Board activities, which has funded that. And I was lucky enough to be at their October meeting last year, and some meetings before when Lester Bagley of the Vikings said we're going to have to renew the bonds. And my research showed that there was no need to. And I presented at the Minnesota Sports Facility Board that they should be paying off those bonds in June 30th of this year. And thankfully they're going to do that. And one of the reasons I'm here today is the fact that if I could end the interest and get the public share of U.S. Bank Stadium paid for, and so we could track things better as far as what is public and what is private business from the Vikings, and I'm here today to do the same, because I've been tracking some of the activities with this stadium history, and it appears your bonds are going to be paid off in 26. And when I look at the numbers of the overall situation with public financing of this wonderful facility as well as U.S. Bank Stadium facility, I think it's time that we end the burden of anybody purchasing something in Hennepin County or the taxpayers of Hennepin County. And once the state pays off U.S. Bank Stadium bonds, there's really no need for that money starting on July 1st. So I'm here to tell you and the people of Minnesota, as well, especially the people of Hennepin County, I think when the legislative session's still in play, that the December bond payment should come out of charitable gambling funds, the taxation that the state has been doing there. And those dollars going forward will be collecting enough money that the roughly 90 million in bonds could be paid off in early 2024. And I think that is something both this board authority as well as U.S. Bank Authority should be telling our elected officials. There's no reason to have public debt on Target Field or U.S. Bank Stadium, and that's why I'm here for. I was successful in getting it done for U.S. Bank Stadium, and I hope for the sake of Hennepin County taxpayers or anybody that spends money that's taxed by sales tax at 0.15%, that ends on July 1st. And any additional public obligations for the bonds here comes out of charitable gambling money.
Well, thank you, Mr. Is it
Repke.
Thank you, Mr. Repke, for coming. Just a couple points of information about the situation here. It's actually the Hennepin County Board who is the financial, our fiscal agent in this case.
Yes, I understand that.
And so you would need to go talk to them about early bond payoff. We don't have the exclusive authority to do that. We have paid bonds early in this organization. That's why we're going to be paid off in 2026 versus the original term of the bonds. So I think it would be best if you maybe would like to speak to someone at Hennepin County, maybe the board chair, but that is really not the authority that we have to do. Plus it would take an act of the legislature, as you are well aware, to transfer the original agreement, which is funded by sales tax.
What I'm getting at, unfortunately, was...
So we're not going to enter into a debate today.
No, I know.
If you'd like to talk to our executive director after the meeting, that would be wonderful.
I fully appreciate that. At some point in time I will, but I just wanted to make sure the
Yes.
taxpayers of Hennepin County know there's a real option and fans of baseball in these two stadiums to get the public share paid off. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Madam Chairman and Board,
All
and I'll
right.
just stay to listen to the rest of the meeting.
Absolutely, thank you. We're glad you made the trip, so thank you.
I am too.
All right, well, very good. So on the chair report, we did have our annual meeting, the executive director and I did with the team to look at the audited financials. That is something that is not a public document, but we do review it to make sure that the team is in sound standing and to make sure that everything looks really good in terms of our relationship as the owner of the stadium and the Twins as our lessee. So I would say that, there's been some challenges in the last couple of years, mainly COVID, and that we are on a rebound out of that, a pretty good rebound. I'm sure we're going to hear about that from Mr. Hoy, that many people are returning to see baseball in person, and that is one of the biggest drivers of being able to see a turnaround in especially the attendance numbers and folks coming to the stadium. So we've reviewed this many times and nothing unusual. So that's my report, Executive Director.
Thank
Kenny?
you, Madam Chair. I would just note that MnDOT has started a project in the neighborhood. They're working on improvements to Washington Avenue at the 394 exit, which is a very good thing because for pedestrians on Washington, that's a highly trafficked area and it needed improvements. But part of the consequence of that project is it impacts access to the Ballpark Service Road and also impacts Hines and Kraus Anderson and their development of Northwood Green. So we have a weekly coordination call with MnDOT. That's going very well. Teams access, visiting team access, buses, that's all happening as it should. Charter buses are getting in. Kraus Anderson is moving along in their construction, so that's going very well, and we appreciate MnDOT's coordination with us to make sure that we don't have impacts. That project's going to run essentially from this week till probably mid-June. But it's an important project that the neighborhood group had identified as a priority, and MnDOT was very responsive along with Hennepin County and the city.
Can I just add,
Yes.
there's been some adjustment to light timing as of yesterday on the 4th Street exit.
Oh, sure.
Because, yeah, there was a lot more pressure on 4th Street exit, especially coming into games, and the city will monitor that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That concludes my report, and I'm obviously available for questions if anybody has questions.
Okay, all right. We have a number of discussion items today, and I think that, Mr. Hoy, you're going to be speaking to most of them. All
Madam
of
Chair,
them.
absolutely.
All right, well, good to have you, thank you. I think we have the correspondence on the 2022 ballpark maintenance costs. We have the recap of the 2022 capital investments at Target Field. We have the investments in youth activities and amateur sports, which are paid for by the sales tax in Hennepin County. We have the affordable seating plan, as are library hours, extended library hours, so just for the record. Target Field operations update as well. So,
Madam Chair, Commissioners,
the floor is yours.
I'll be very brief, and if you have any questions, I'm certainly happy to answer them as it relates to any of the reports. Just from a 10,000-foot overview, our 2022 actual maintenance expenses came in at about $8.2 million. Our budget for 2023 is $8.8 million. Our CapEx report includes pretty much everything that the team funded at the amount of $2.2 million for last year. We also will owe you I'll call it a joint CapEx fund report once we finish out what we call the Scoreboard 2.0 project, which we have obviously jointly funded. We'll provide a detailed report, but I'm happy to report that we are on budget, if not under budget, when you look at some of the still available contingencies. And in my operations report, I'll discuss that project and obviously the transformation that we've had over the past couple of weeks of the ballpark to get ready for the opening. Community giving and youth activities and amateur sports. Last year we were about $500,000 over what the lease requires us to donate in those areas, which was an increase of about $200,000 over the 2021 amount. So that fund certainly has been functioning well. And one note in there too, I believe it said that the Delaware North contribution through nonprofit organizations working the concession stands here was about $1.4 million last year. And cumulatively, I believe we are now over $20 million since Target Field opened. So that's a great program, and I know that with the challenges that they face as it relates to staffing the building properly, nonprofit organizations have become an even more important component. So it's a great win-win for all parties concerned. As for affordable seating and all of that stuff, we have continued on with pretty much all the staple plans that we've had previously. We did expand a few areas, our family affordable stands. We've expanded those to section 120, 133, and 311. And there you have substantially discounted concession prices on everything out of those stands. We've also expanded our all-you-can-eat program, which typically was on Friday nights out in the grandstand in right field. It is now available every night for the sections directly below us here in sections S, T, U, and V on the club level. And if you check out that, they've got quite the setup out there to allow folks to come in and get their stuff and eat as much as they'd like and drink as much as they'd like. So that has been kind of an expansion. Things like Dollar Dogs on Tuesday nights, etc. Those are all still in play. And we're starting a few new programs. I believe there's one called 612, which is a $6 beer, $1 soda, and $2 hot dogs or something like that. That's kind of a happy hour type program, and we're going to expand that, I believe, throughout the months of April and May. On Tuesday nights, we'll have a happy hour program to try and get folks in. As we've shortened up the gate times with our 6:40 starts, Last year we did it, we instead of having an hour and a half gate on those nights, we've gone with an hour. So this is an enticement, I guess, to get folks to come on into the ballpark a little early and enjoy their experience here at Target Field. So that's kind of a brief overview. I'd be happy to take any questions
Could
on.
you talk briefly about the monthly pass in terms of?
Absolutely. Basically, the way that works is it's $49, and you come in and you get a ballpark access ticket, i.e. standing room, for every game that month. And that is available every month through the course of the year now.
It's very popular with the youngsters, I've noticed.
The youngsters?
The youngsters. I'm old.
Mr. Kenny, does that mean anyone under 40 pretty much for us now?
Yes, it does.
Okay,
Yes.
great, awesome. Questions, members? Yeah.
Madam Chair, I just have a quick question. Have you noticed that they've been able to track the total sales with shortened games?
Madam Chair, Commissioner
Yes.
Santa, we did very well the first couple games, extremely well, both food and beverage and merchandise. The last couple days, the games have been very quick, and we were down a little bit.
Yeah, it's interesting because if you don't tune in, you may miss a ball game now, which is,
Madam Chair, Commissioners, the average game time last year was 3 hours and 3 minutes, and at this point, we're averaging right around 2:30.
Really?
Yeah.
all right. Commissioner Rivera.
Madam Chair, Mr. Hoyt, just curious if you are starting to track data in terms of the time it takes for folks to get into the facility. It seems like the new screening security process is much faster and much more efficient than what it had been in the past. Just,
Yes.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
Commissioner Bauer, you're right on. Our partnership with Evolve is our new system, which basically it doesn't require you to divest your phone, your keys, anything. You just keep walking in, and it's an artificial intelligence-based system along with magnetometer type technology. But when the gates opened on the opener, I was in my office over here, and the whole sidewalk along 5th Street here was full of people, and literally they started walking. And as they walked, they just went through. We had about an 8% hit rate, meaning 8% of the people that came in were pulled aside because the system generated something that needed to be checked. But it flowed consistently and has been unbelievably efficient for all the events, but particularly on opening day when you had a bunch of people trying to get in the building as soon as we opened. It went very, very well.
it seems to be like a great enhancement to the game day experience. So
Yeah.
I think it's a great opportunity, great effort. So thank you.
All right. Other questions? I don't know if Commissioner Campbell has anything or if he's okay with the,
Oh,
you're good?
I'm fine, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, and then the operations update. Mr.
All right,
Hoyt.
I will be somewhat brief with that as well. We have essentially completed the Scoreboard 2.0 project. We had 2 cranes on the field virtually all winter, and consequently we had to replace about 35,000 square feet of turf, which was completed a little later than we had planned due to the couple of storms that hit here and out at where the grass farm is. But that's all completed and we're in good shape there. The scoreboard system itself, we still have a few kinks and bugs that we're working out, but progress has been made. Frankly, every day it's gotten much smoother. It's an incredible audio-visual experience for anybody in the stands here, and we're feeling really, really good about some of the new the BD boards themselves. The celebration sign in center field looks beautiful, and then the new ball on the right field tower is also a fantastic addition. And as I stated earlier, once we complete the project and we close it out with Mortensen, we'll provide a more detailed CapEx, joint CapEx report to you all. Through the first 6 games, we had about approximately 125,000 come and enjoy a game here at Target Field. The opener was a sellout, which was fantastic, and the weather could not have been better. We did delay one day based on the forecast, and it was interesting to note that ticket sales for Thursday, the opener, had really just died off. And as soon as we switched it to Friday, sales, it was like somebody turned on a faucet and sales began again for the opener. So what that tells me, as someone who's been here monitoring the weather a lot over the 14 years we've been here, everybody is aware of approaching weather and forecasts and has their own meteorologist in their pocket, and that materially impacts people's decisions to come out here to the ballpark. So the great weather we've had, I think, was was very positive for us. All in all, the building came through the winter very, very well. We certainly had a lot of snow and ice, but I'm happy to report that most of the mechanical systems came through pretty much unscathed. And our maintenance crew and our grounds crew did an incredible job of removing snow. We also had some help from our friends at the city in clearing the curb cutout area along 7th Street, as we had mountains of snow there that was kind of refusing to melt. But all in all, our crews just did an incredible job to get us ready for the opener. And we're in mid-season form here, 6 games in, so we're feeling pretty good. And on top of all that, the team is actually playing very well. So
It's good.
that is a good, great thing in itself. So I'd be happy to take any questions there as well.
No question, just a comment, here on opening day and just how vibrant the lights are on the new scoreboard and all the lighting around the facility. Just, you can notice it. Look forward to getting here for a night game and see how it really stands out and really lights up the place. So it looks like a really great project for the park. So appreciate having been able to be a part of that.
Commissioner Rivera, with the longer sunlight and the shorter games, we may have to wait a while to see total darkness. It's going to be quite different, I think, in terms of these game times. So, well, thank you for the update. Appreciate your willingness to be here. So, thanks very much.
Happy to be here.
Ms. Juneau, our finance coordinator for the Ballpark Authority, would you please come up and give us the update?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Happy summer.
Thank you.
It'll be winter again on Saturday,
Yeah,
so.
don't put your boots away yet. No, I'm just
That must be what we love about Minnesota, right? In your packet materials include a 2022 financial summary report. These include also some partial financial statements for the annual financial report. Most significantly, we are seeing a decrease of $7.6 million in the total fund balances for all funds. This is directly related to the video board and control room project, of course, which is wonderful, by the way. I too was at the opening day, and it was incredible. Everybody talked about it, so it was pretty neat. The investment earnings also kind of stand out. As you all know, we have to make an accounting entry at the end of the year, and this year our entry for the market value adjustment at the end of the year decreased. So it appears on the financial statements that we have a loss in interest revenue. However, that is not the case. At cash-wise, we actually earned quite a bit more, $170,000 more in 2022 than in 2021, and even more than we did in 2020 as well. So this is just an adjustment for anybody who might look at that and think, because once you record it, it does of course decrease our revenue sources, or appear to. So contractual services, on page 3 it shows contractual services. It looks like that number is high. However, most of that includes some small projects that were done out of the capital project fund last year. So we really did not spend a lot more on contracted services last year. Truthfully, we decreased a lot of our contracts last year. So the Ballpark Authority has traditionally been pretty stable with those services. We go up and down just a minor amount.
Madam Chair, can I ask a question?
Yes, Commissioner.
Where does something like the mural sit in this?
That's sorry, I didn't.
Where's something like the mural?
The mural. So I think I can help with that, because that is I think that was actually a twins project.
Okay, it was.
Oh, that's right. There was some joint.
There was, and we haven't closed it out yet, so we actually haven't paid for it yet, but that would come out of our project fund that we control that's outside the ballpark reserve fund.
Okay.
It's about $7 million in that account, and it's essentially, the not to exceed for both was 200,000. We'll probably spend 150, 160 when it's all closed out.
Sorry
So
about that.
we'll be at half of that.
Okay. All right.
Correct. That's part of what I was mentioning about that 270 contractual services that comes out of that capital project fund. So, which by the way, I did a analysis kind of that fund balance for the capital project fund over time, and I was mildly surprised at how stable that balance has been over the last 8 years, considering there's no real revenue source in that fund outside of interest, and we deposit our revenue from the Twins for our event revenue goes into that fund, and really that's our only revenue source in that fund. So I was mildly surprised at that. So are there any other questions?
Any other questions on our financial update? All right.
I'll move in,
Yes.
Madam Chair, I'll move into the March report for 2023.
Okay, yeah.
There's not too much to say. There's been very little activity
Yeah.
as of this point in time, so unless anybody has any particular questions on that as well. I don't have anything significant to
quiet.
report, yes.
Okay. Appreciate that. Any questions on the March financial update? All right. Thank you, Ms. Juneau. Thank you for making sure that we're on track. Members, our next meeting will be July 13th of 2023. And if no one has further business for the Ballpark Authority, we are adjourned.
And Madam Chair, if I might quickly,
Oh.
before we formally adjourn, as you know, the statutes require us when we have a participant via interactive technology, we must state on the record the reason for it. It could be a
Yes.
scheduling conflict or being out of state. And so Commissioner Campbell, maybe this would be a good time to provide that reason, and then we'll be sure it's in the next minutes.
Great.
I'm out of the state of Minnesota and will be returning next week.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right, we are adjourned.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you. Nice publicity, I read about you.
Thank you.
False. All right.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to say anything
No,
on the camera?
I don't really want to.
Oh,
That's
okay.
okay.
That's fine.
I think your idea is interesting, but I think the fact there's no bill in the legislature at this point probably means it's real unlikely, but.
At least I want to make sure you guys are aware
Yeah.
as leaders. And so when you talk to the
Yeah.
commissioners and the governor, the legislators, you guys are aware
Yes.
that there is a real solid financial way to eliminate the 0.15% tax.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you. Well, I'll give you a quick look at the field. They're working on the field this morning about 20 to 10. Gorgeous facility. I've never been here before, like many of you probably, but and enjoyed the meeting.